Hi everyone, this video is the second part of dividing fractions using fraction bars. Now if you remember from the last video, if we took 1/3, which our problem would turn into this, 1/3, that's how much we had, and we wanted to divide or see how many 1/6 fit into it, then all we would have to do is find our fraction bars and see how many sixths fit into the 1/3. And what you notice is that if I divide 1/3 by 1/6, my answer would be 2. So these problems were pretty easy. When we ran into difficulty was when we saw problems that looked like this. When we had 1/3 and we wanted to divide that by a half. And when we started playing around with the fraction bars, you notice, or you started seeing, that a half wouldn't fit into a third. Or at least you thought that only a part of it was. So our job is to find out how much of the half fits into the third. There was a problem though. We can't say that only a third of the half fits into it. So we had to actually do a couple of things, and this is when common denominators come into play. So we would change these fractions to have common denominators, and we could find the giant one that we would multiply the third by looking at the denominator of the second fraction and multiplying with it. So then we would get 2 times 1 would be 2, and 2 times 3 would be 6. And what we notice is that we were making equivalent fractions. So the third actually turned into 2/6. And as you can tell from our fraction bars, they're equivalent fractions, which meant that this fraction was the same as this fraction. Now we would have to do the same thing for the half. And the way we find the giant one for the half is that we would multiply it by the denominator of the first fraction, which is 3. You would notice that 1 times 3 is 3, and that 2 times 3 is 6. So then what I did is I created equivalent fractions for the half. And I can prove that to you by showing you that 3/6 is the same as saying a half. Now we can go ahead and do our problem, and what you notice is if we wanted to divide a half into a third, we notice that 2 out of the 3 sixes that make up the half fit into the 1/3. One more time, watch. 2 out of the 3 1/6 fit into 1/3. So my answer for 1/3 divided by 1/2 is equal to 2/3. 2 out of the 3 that make up the half fit into a third. We can check this mathematically by writing 1/3, changing the division to multiplication, and changing the second fraction to flipping it and seeing that 1 times 2 is 2 and 3 times 1 is 3. Both answers match, but the thing is that now visually you can see it with the model. And you have to understand what we're doing. We're trying to take a half into a third. but we noticed we needed common denominators. Remember that your dividend is the first one to go here, and that your divisor is the second one there. And if they do not match up, we have to find common denominators. So watch this video and the second video in order for you to complete the problems on the worksheet.